Hey everyone, it's me, Bret Iwan, and you're watching Toon'd with Jim Cummings.
Hey everybody, we are live and kicking today. My name is Jim Cummings. This is Tuned In with Jim Cummings, and today, producer Chris and I, Brenda, we have an amazing treat for you, and it's not Goofy. It's Mickey. and here he is. Brett, thank you so much.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, he's delighted to be here. You see that, world? Okay. See, very good. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
You were just in the neighborhood.
I was just in the neighborhood, and I thought, you know what? It's about time I come sit down and chat with you.
I thought so, too.
Yeah.
And tell everybody what you were doing just mere moments ago.
Just moments ago, I was, talking like a mouse, like I do. Hi, everybody. It's me, Mickey Mouse, just recording a few lines and, playing
He
along.
sounds just like him. I used to get that. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
What's disconcerting is when you don't get that. When someone's like, oh, it kind of sounds like him. You're like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jess Harnell, our buddy, he's got a story about that when he was doing the Animaniacs for the very first run. He was in line at maybe Disneyland.
Okay.
You've heard of it. And there was a kid in front who had a Yakko Warner T-shirt on. And his mother, bless her heart, she says, you have to tell him. You have to tell him. He goes, no, I can't. No, I can't. It'd be weird, And he goes, oh, come on, do it. All right, Mom. Your mom tells you, you got to do it.
You got to listen.
You got to do it. So he goes, hey, little buddy, how you doing? My name's Jess. I do that character. And he goes, yeah, it's good. And he turns around. He's no, I'm actually, like when you see the cartoon, I'm the guy you're listening to. He goes, all right, give me some. He goes, well, and I can't do Yakko, but
sure.
The policy emergency or something. He goes, no. And he goes, what do you mean? I don't sound
quite.
like me. He goes, no. He's more like, and the kid starts coaching him.
Sure.
So,
everyone's a critic.
Everyone, it's,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the stuff no one talks about.
Yeah, it's because it's painful.
It is very painful. There's a lot of tears shed.
That's right. And everybody, you just came from
recording,
a session.
Yeah, a session. Yep.
Fresh mouse.
Yeah. It was a long 30-minute session of some pickups. So I'm really strained today, guys.
We'll go easy on him, right?
Please.
Shall we go easy? I think we will.
We should. Getting back to people not believing you, Brett, I love the story of you having to fool your parents when you were showing them the audition tape.
Oh, yeah. You heard that? Yeah. Yeah. When I got the word that they were holding auditions for Mickey, I freaked out and I called my friend and then I called my parents. I was like, you'll never believe what I just found out about. They're holding auditions and
where were you living then?
I was living in Kansas City, Missouri at the time.
The garden spot of might as well be Hollywood Part 2.
Exactly. The Paris of the Plains is what I've heard them call Kansas City before. I still don't get why, but okay. Yeah, I was working as an illustrator out there, and anyway, I called my parents. I was like, "You'll never believe, guys. Guess what? I'm gonna audition. This is so cool." And my mom goes, "I thought you did a better Donald Duck."
Oh,
and I was
man.
like, first of all, I've never attempted to do Donald Duck, so I don't know where she got that from. And then my dad was like, okay, cool, sure. I'm going to tell people my son auditioned to be Mickey Mouse. That's, they just kind of blew it off. So after I practiced a little bit, I called them back and I was like, I've been practicing. I want you guys to hear what I'm doing. And it's kind of predictable. I was like, I'm going to play the demo for you first, and then I'll do mine. But instead, I did a little switcheroo and I did my, line reads first. And then afterwards, I told them, they were like, okay, now do your impressions. And I was like, well, that was me. And my dad finally goes, oh, okay, that is pretty good.
That is pretty good, yeah.
So then they started to have a little bit of faith that it could potentially turn into something.
And now you're on the money.
And now, my face is everywhere.
That is amazing. Yes, it is. And the silhouette is ubiquitous.
It's striking, right?
Yes, yeah. Ubiquitous. Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing that did you ever see? This is weird, but I thought I was going to do what I ended up doing when I was 5.
Yeah.
Now, what about you?
See, that's the thing. It's the more I've gotten to know you and your multifaceted talents in voiceover and Bill Farmer and other colleagues, it's like I look at myself and I go, I never saw this in my life's journey, right? I knew I was a fan of animation. I knew I was a fan of art, and I knew I was a fan of storytelling, and by extension, acting and that kind of thing. But I had my sights set on the visual arts from very young age, 5 years old. So that's the path I chose. And it really just because of happenstance, getting this email that outlined the audition and then deciding to take a chance really just for the hell of it, because I thought it'd be a cool story to tell.
Well, you were right. That seems to be working out rather well, doesn't it?
I guess, now I tell people, I'm like, take the risk because you never know.
Oh God. Yeah.
But what I've discovered over time is like, I love this role. I love voice acting.
Oh yeah.
I unlike you, I just do Mickey, so I'm like a one note wonder. But
okay, that's like, well, I only sing like one guy, but it's Elvis. Oh well, okay.
I guess for
Mickey's
randomly
Elvis.
falling into a character, he's a pretty good character.
He's Elvis.
But
Forget it. That's it. That's
yeah.
it. Yeah, like I said, he's on the money.
Yeah. If I could go back and tell my 5-year-old self that this was, potential for the future, I probably wouldn't have believed it.
No.
But hope I still would have pursued it.
Yeah. Well, we're all glad you did. And the crowd went wild.
Thank you.
Do you still draw?
I do. Yeah, actually, just today I had some new poster art released. I still draw regularly. I've never lost that side of my career. I always joke that I've got the best of both worlds. I got to be an artist and continue to be an artist. And then I get to play in this arena of voice acting. But since voicing Mickey, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of Disney art, actually. I started designing some merchandise for the D23 fan club. Then I started getting some opportunities designing stuff for the parks. I designed some Mickey ears, clothing line. I've partnered with a friend of mine to help her. We'd collaborate on some clothing merchandise lines together. And
well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. The coolest thing that I've gotten to do art-wise thus far is just last year, Mickey celebrated his 95th birthday. And as such, they wanted to commemorate it with an official portrait, which, as has been the tradition for milestone birthdays throughout the year. Something that started in 1954 when Disney legend John Hench first painted a portrait of Mickey. And there's been seven, including that one. And then I was just honored by getting to paint the 8th portrait of Mickey for his 95th. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, that is
wonderful.
You go back to asking about childhood dreams.
Yeah,
I picture myself reading the Art of Disney books and looking at those portraits throughout the years and being like, oh God, I wish I could paint like that.
Ooh.
And so while painting it, I kept thinking about that, and the pressure was on.
Well, I've seen this guy's art. You can't believe it. Oh. It's fabulous. Yeah. It is wonderful. I mean, I feel like clapping. Seriously, it's amazing. I mean, yeah, I think that's such a gift because I doodle. Okay, I used to design and paint Mardi Gras floats.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no problem. Here's a big mouse.
Yeah.
But what you do is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
What comes out of your hand, your pencil, your mind, your paintbrush. It's truly, and it's there's this thing in the industry on model.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You're very familiar with that.
I am. Yes.
And you are on model.
I try. It's something you got to strive for though, because I'll tell you, I look back on some pieces that have been approved and been published, and I go, "Ooh, it's not quite right."
You don't do that.
But I do.
Oh,
I do.
I do that too, but not just with voices.
Yeah.
And stuff,
Well, we're making fun of people being critical, but I always say like we're our own worst critics.
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah.
So
that would have been like a real full circle moment for you, right? Because you learned to draw because of Mickey, and now you are Mickey, and now you're getting to draw the portrait. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's very weird. I mean, I have moments when I have to look back, and it's a good grounding exercise, to just in a moment of gratitude, look back and go, it really is kind of unbelievable. I just started as this kid who liked to draw because my dad introduced me to the early Mickey cartoons, and one of my favorite things to do on the weekends was we'd put in the VHS, we'd watch it, and you'd pause it, and you get this fuzzy paused image, right? But we'd draw the characters together, and it was kind of my introduction into like constructing the characters with shapes and all of that, and the Disney way of doing things. And all I wanted to do was be an artist for Disney. I wanted to create the films that I was such a fan of, or the attraction posters and stuff. So yeah, I mean, now I get to do it. So
Yeah.
But the thing that they never tell you is that you have these lofty goals and you can imagine all these things, but what happens when you achieve them? Like for me, if I'm being honest, it hasn't really felt real yet. Like every time it happens, it's like, that's so cool. What's next? And so then you have to like the goalpost keeps moving a little bit.
But that's healthy, right?
It is. Yeah. I mean, I've discovered that I love challenges. I'm very curious. So I love learning new skills. And so, yeah, I guess you could say every time you reach one of those moments and you go, what's next? You're in a way looking for the next challenge. So it is healthy. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely healthy. Keeps you moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
What's your goal now?
Ooh. That's a good midlife question. Thank you so much. It really taps into my existential crisis.
Donald Duck is going down.
Yeah. Let's not go there. I don't think we have enough time for that.
Yeah. Oh, but seriously. Oh, that kind of going. No, I just meant anyway. I hope a lot of people out there going, what are they talking?
I have no idea. What?
Nothing. We edited that out. You're not even going to see it.
No, it's gone. So what is my next goal? It's a great question. I don't know. You know, what I've found myself craving lately is the opportunity to make connections. And what I mean by that is finding people's passions. I feel like all too many people don't have hobbies or something they're really passionate about, something that drives them. And I won't get into my theories behind it, but like it's a convoluted mess that we're all kind of being bombarded with lately. And so anytime I find or meet somebody who's really into this or that, and I see ways to make connections, I love that. I love connecting people. I love kind of bringing talents together to create something on a bigger scale.
Well, people who are passionate about their passions are more interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're right.
There.
Yeah. There's something to engage with. There's something to explore. So anyway, yeah, I guess maybe one of my new goals is to work on fostering those connections and then finding ways to, by extension, kind of teach. I've been saying a lot lately that where I am today is a big result of the people that I've looked up to or who have mentored me or who have been inspirations. And so I just want to find ways to do that for others.
That's that's an admirable goal.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
Is there anything you can suggest for me to pull on? Where do I go from here?
Oh my God.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
You're doing it though. I mean, in like this podcast and sharing your skills and your interests with people. I mean that opens doors for tons of people.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some really nice people on, and now I've got another nice person on.
Well, we're not done yet.
Life is good. Yes, that's right. No, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not done with you, America or world, or where's this playing again? Anyway.
Universe.
Would you want to
LA County?
Yeah.
Would you want to teach like drawing or performing, or what would be your avenue of desire?
I think I would probably, in the creative pursuits, I'd probably go more towards drawing and art. I feel so small, especially sitting next to someone like Jim Cummings, when it comes to like the performing side of things. I've picked up skills in the past 15 years for sure. But there are other people more suited to coach and drive people towards the voice acting field. So I think for me, it's about the drawing. It's about art. I have a real passion for restoring things, like antiques and whatnot.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
So, with that comes a lot like woodworking and metalworking skills and a lot of those trades that aren't very popular. I shouldn't say aren't popular, but not as well pursued.
I can picture you restoring one of those old classic leather loungers. And, I mean...
I took some time doing some upholstery recently, so you're not too far off.
See?
Old trucks, old trains, wagons, things like that. I love.
Oh, that's great.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a huge train set too.
Yeah.
As a kid, have no idea where I went.
Oh,
just gone.
That's how it happens.
Busted it out at Christmas every year. Had it run around the tree,
Yeah.
Cats hated it. And it was a beautiful thing.
The cats are responsible then. They took it. They ushered it away.
I suspect so. Yes, that could be. Now we have a dog that thinks it's a cat.
Oh,
you ever go to that one pizza shop in Thousand Oaks and I had the train ran all the way around?
Yes.
Do you remember that? I forget what it was called.
I've never been to it.
Little pizza shop out in Thousand
Yeah.
Oaks, and they had one of those old school trains, and it would always run 24/7.
Sagebrush Cantina.
Sagebrush Cantina.
Oh, I've
yeah.
heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I
Yeah.
missed it.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a house that had that. My dad was a huge model railroader, so
Oh, cool.
he built a train that suspended from the ceiling, and it just like ran around our family room. And then eventually, one Saturday morning, I woke up and I heard hammers and shovels and stuff, and I looked out and he was tearing down. He had built this beautiful sandbox and jungle gym and stuff for me when I was younger. He was tearing it all down, and I went outside. I was like, "What's going on?" He goes,
Wait a minute.
"We're building a garden railroad. Get ready." And so he took that down, and we then had this train that ran through our garden with like miniature trees and whatnot.
How cool is
It's like
that?
that Donald Duck cartoon out of scale. It's totally that moment.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I just took a video of that recently, of the one at Disney.
Oh yeah,
Disneyland.
and
It's,
yeah,
and it just chews around.
it's great.
I love those.
Yeah.
I will never outgrow a choo-choo.
Good for you for admitting that, Jim.
Yeah. I feel better now.
Good.
Now I've got that off my head.
Yeah, I'll never outgrow trains.
Sounds like your father was a very creative man.
Oh yeah, he was and he still is, thankfully. He both my parents actually, they're very creative. I say
that's good.
I'm so lucky that I had
Yeah.
parents who weren't intimidated by creativity or the arts. They're encouraging of it. My grandfather was a Caltech professor, state
Oh.
seismic safety commissioner for California
Oh,
for a
wow.
while, and like just a very high level engineer brain. But not that my dad doesn't possess those intellects, but he chose to focus more on the creative things, building and doing model
Yeah, yeah.
trains or building homes or renovating
architects
homes,
or artists.
all that stuff. So yeah, I grew up around that. It was very inspirational for me to see that. This Old House was on every Saturday morning, and
Oh, sure, yeah.
yeah, you look back and I'm like, oh God, all these things that I love and continue to spend my time doing are so influenced by those moments. Even down to the music I listen to, it's like bluegrass and 80s hair bands. It's like, thanks, Dad.
Oh, okay. Well, bluegrass is 80s hair bands is tough.
Yeah.
Cinderella and
Yeah, exactly.
right, all those guys. That was a sad time in music.
It was a time.
It was a time. But yeah.
Have you ever restored something from your childhood?
Oh, ow. Wow, you're good with these questions, actually. I have, and I am currently restoring, not to take it back to trains again, but I recently came into possession of this train, and it's not a toy train, it's like an actual steam train.
Wow.
And
where you put that in the living room? What do you do? Oh, here's Brett. He's coming. He's on his train.
Yeah, just watch out. He's laying tracks around the neighborhood. No, we actually, my family has some land up in Northern California area, so we've been laying some tracks and getting it running. It's small little acreage there, but this train actually, I grew up riding as a kid in this town up in Washington State that my family, we would vacation to every summer. And this guy had built this train, and it was a little tourist attraction. And every summer we'd get up there and you'd pay $1 for a ticket and take this little round trip and go. I was obsessed with it, obsessed. Well, a few years ago, I got in touch with the family of the gentleman who built it. He has since passed away. And through a very long process and just kind of sharing what I was interested in, they eventually decided to gift us the train. So my family and I have been working on restoring it now. So yeah, that is the one thing that's very tied to my childhood that I'm restoring.
Wow.
It's like I have memories of sitting in these train coaches and getting to watch the locomotive go by, and now I'm actually tinkering with it. And yeah,
That's great. Where does this train live?
it's up at so just like north of Sacramento.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we've got 20 acres up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like in your coffee tables.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
That's kind of cool.
it's a scaled down thing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like a full size.
Is
but
it like that one that Walt Disney had?
It's a little
the
bigger.
famous
It's a little bigger than Walt's Lily Bell. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I would have been very happy with that. But his, you had to like sit on. Mine, you can sit in. That's the best way to describe it.
God, you're such a braggart.
I'm trying not to brag, but it's it's a passion of mine. I'm very I again talking about that connecting of like creative people. The guy who built this, to me, he was so impressive because he was an oil refinery engineer who had like served in the war and ran trains over in Iran during the war. And when he came home, he just maintained that hobby of working with machinery and steam machinery in particular, and decided to literally build from the ground up this whole railroad. And I just think that's so impressive.
Can't believe
genius.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I can't get my butt off the couch to go get a glass of water some nights, but he's deciding to sit in his workshop for hours and build this thing. So anyway, when I get to work on stuff like that, I feel like I'm kind of like awakening those stories and getting the chance to bring to light something that this guy put his heart and soul into. And before was just kind of in this limbo space. And now I get the chance to kind of bring it back to the light and hopefully find other people who are interested in it and then kind of share his story in a way.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's great is then there's another generation of kids who can create memories with it because of the work you're doing on it.
Yeah. And that's what, that's what's exciting. That's what the driving force is for me, truly. It's to see, I've lost track now. I think I've got 8 nieces and nephews in my family and then another soon to be 3 on my husband's side. And so we've got a lot of little ones running around. And when you get to see them enjoying the fruits of your labor in those ways, it's like, that's cool.
Oh, that's so nice.
But yeah, the same goes for when they're watching our shows and whatnot,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think somebody pointed out at a convention, I think I'm on my 3rd generation because I don't, of fandom or whatever you want to call it. Because I think like a Winnie the Pooh generation isn't like a full 20 years.
Sure.
I think, your first 5 years, you're mine.
Yeah.
Then maybe not so much, But then again, like yourself, we've been known to do these conventions and Comic-Cons and the parents will come up and they'll plop down some Darkwing Duck DVDs and the little kid he's 7.
Yeah.
And I've told this before, and he's dressed as Darkwing Duck. And well, that went off the air 20 years before you were born. So, I'm raising them right. Of course, now Disney Plus.
Oh, that's true. Now,
now
you're right.
It's all over. Yeah.
Which is great.
See a lot of them. Yeah. We like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Smash that like button.
Yes.
I don't know.
And then subscribe.
Disney Plus, but still.
Yeah, well, take us back. I want you to describe to me your bedroom personal animation studio.
Oh my gosh!
When you were a kid.
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. There was so when I was a kid and I was obsessed with Disney animation. My parents, again going back to them, knew this, and so any chance they were able to make a connection with somebody who worked at Disney, they always took advantage. And I'll never forget, my mom was working at a dentist office and met this guy who, his name is Dan Povenmire. He, at the time, was just working on a little show called Rocko's Modern Life and done some stuff on The Simpsons.
Yes, he was.
He's later gone on to create Phineas and Ferb and so many other great properties. But
famous crazy person.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, my mom met him. Oh, my son's into animation. He gave me a tour of Nickelodeon. And then the next thing I know, this guy who worked on Roger Rabbit was over at our house for dinner. And so I had this my parents were always working as my agent in a way to find these influences for me.
That's good.
And so eventually, somehow, through those connections, I found out about this company called Cartoon Color that was in Van Nuys. I don't know if they're still around. And they were like a supplier of animation discs. Like the disc is the thing that sits on your desk that holds the punched paper for animation, for the traditional animation back in the day. And they sold paints and whatnot. Anyway, long story longer. For one of my birthdays, I had saved my money and I said, I just want an animation disc. I want like an animation table like I see in all the Disney animation books. So my dad drove me all the way out to Van Nuys. I bought myself this nice shiny animation disc, drove it all the way home, cut the hole in my drafting table, installed a light on the bottom, and that was my, my animation.
You were there.
Studio. So then I was obsessed. It was just a regular drafting table with a hole cut out of it, this great little animation device put in the middle of it. And that was that was my happy place. And like I'd come home from school and I'd sit down, I'd turn on the latest Disney soundtrack and listen. And start drawing the characters, and dreaming of doing it for a living. All the other kids are outside playing street hockey and stuff.
Right.
I'm in there drawing Aladdin. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Whoa. Wow, I couldn't even draw a conclusion nowadays. I couldn't. It's I used to, but it's like no, nobody wants that. Thank God. Oh yeah.
That wasn't a very descriptive
was
telling
very
of
good.
my
was
studio,
damn
but
fine.
that's what it was.
Yeah,
Surrounded by Disney books. I'm obsessed with all the art of books, how to draw, whatnot.
I tried those, and I said, okay, well, maybe I'll do the voice.
Yeah.
And that worked better. It's a little better.
They don't have those books, like how to do.
They
the
don't
voice.
have those books. No, I'm glad they don't.
I was going to say, works to your
I've
advantage.
said before, Gordon Hunt, the great Gordon Hunt, he was the voice director for everything at Hanna-Barbera for many, many years. His father of great actress Helen Hunt, he wrote a book, How to Break into Show Business. And I'm so glad I didn't read it until after I was already working in the business. I think it's 5th chapter, 7th chapter. It says how to break in, how to become a voiceover artist and, make a living. Don't bother. Honestly, it was like this much on the page. Yeah. Don't bother. This is done by about 4 or 5 people. They all live in Hollywood where you don't. And next chapter. And that was it. So I said, I can't tell you how glad I am I didn't read this.
Yeah, right?
I was, yeah.
In this instance, it's the less you know. The
Yeah,
better you are,
yeah. So
it's like Bill Farmer always says, and he has no problem saying it to people at conventions. How do I break into voiceover? His first answer is get rich parents. Like, good luck.
And then he says, a yuck.
Yeah, exactly. Which smooths everything over.
Yeah, he can tell anybody anything, and they go, yuck. And then
then you're golden.
Your cleansed palate, right?
The power.
Oh. So yeah.
You mentioned soundtracks before, Bret. I know the Fantasmic soundtrack is very important to you, but I personally collect soundtracks on vinyl. That's my thing. That's what I do. I collect soundtracks. Do you still listen to soundtracks? Is that still a thing you do?
Absolutely. I was just jamming out to the Interstellar soundtrack the other day while working on some artwork. Yeah, no, soundtracks are still. My husband makes fun of me because he's a little bit more in the know when it comes to the latest pop songs or music trends, and I'm sitting there jamming out to like the theme of Big Country or I don't know. I love westerns. I love westerns.
I was going to say, you mean in the Big Country? You don't mean that one?
No.
Oh, you mean the actual jigga boom, boom,
exactly.
Or I can't think of.
I can't think of it right now, but No, I love soundtracks. It probably goes back to just the fascination of like storytelling. I when you listen to a soundtrack, it kind of like it's this melodic. It transports you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I still listen to classical music for those reasons. It's like I've always said these are the soundtracks of that time. They're so
true.
They're so story driven. I'm a big Tchaikovsky fan, and you listen to any of his stuff, and you're like, there's depth to that. There's emotions and intertwined and all of it. So, I love soundtracks. Love classical, but
that's why so much of today's music just leaves me frozen.
Yeah.
Cold. Not the soundtrack for Frozen. That was fine. that was good.
That was a good one.
I mean, actually, like leaves me cold. Yeah, I don't.
Sure.
It's not much there. Nothing to chew on.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, again, I'm no expert. But
sure you are.
But I go back to the old stuff for sure.
Yeah,
there's a reason for that. So.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Disney soundtrack?
Ooh, favorite Disney soundtrack.
Say one that
I was. No, I know you were.
Pay no attention to
I was going to say Aladdin, and that wasn't because Jim's on it, but I know Jim's on it. But no, Aladdin was probably the film, and it probably just hit at the right time for me. That was one I was obsessed with for the longest time. But that whole Disney Renaissance, Lion King, Aladdin, Little Mermaid,
Mulan had a great one.
Yeah, Princess and the Frog was the last of the Mohicans,
and I was there in the theater to see it. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah, me too. It makes me sad that from there and everybody knew it. It was like on the the set in the recording.
Sure.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
And because that for me, Peter Pan. I remember seeing Peter Pan. I was probably 4 or whatever. My aunt Nan took me. Bless her heart.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Then Pinocchio scared the crap out of me. But
Same.
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, whoa, he's a donkey. That was bad.
It's always the donkey scene.
Yeah, don't be a jackass.
Yeah, that was tough.
But I always wonder if 2D animation, traditional animation, will make it. I mean, it's like the pendulum always swings back and forth, right? And
you would think, yeah.
Sometimes you hope. I don't know though. It's weird. Disney, I know,
it's too easy now to just hit a button.
Is it, or is it? Do you think it's like a finance-driven decision? I feel like to hire all those artists and everything. Granted, CG takes a big team of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how it breaks down because I don't think CG is necessarily cheap or easier, but it's the trend. It's what people expect. It's what the audience expects now. So, but I would imagine that there's an opportunity to
it might be easier to outsource to other countries with CG.
I feel like every Oscar season there's always some short that gets shown and it's traditional and people kind of go crazy over it. So there's that appeal still. I know Disney feature animations like kind of put a focus back on that, and they've brought in some younger talent to hopefully rebuild. And Eric Goldberg's kind of running that. So you never know.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like it. I mean, I love when you're able to see the rough before it's all inked and painted and everything. That rough pencil stuff when you. It
just looks so cool.
Yeah, it's magical.
Really,
not to be cheesy, but it's like you're watching this pencil line come to life.
Yeah,
I was really fortunate in a slightly creepy way. Had a chance to meet Frank and Ollie, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston.
Wow.
The famous 9 Old Men of Disney, and their book, The Illusion of Life, is one of kind of like the joke that it's the animator's Bible. Like it was a book that I was really obsessed with as a kid. So I got to meet them and talk to them. Related to some college papers I was doing. And if you've ever had a chance to see, there's a great documentary about the two of them that Ted Thomas actually did. And he shows a lot. All the animation he shows in it is all the rough animation. And it's I almost wish I could just see the whole film in that capacity because it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they literally don't make them like they used to, right?
They don't. That is for sure.
Can you remember the first drawing of yours that you were proud of?
Oh, man. I don't know if I can speak to a specific drawing, but I do know that, up to a certain point, drawing was just a thing I did for myself and was kind of self-taught. But when my parents enrolled me in some art classes, I grew up in Pasadena, so there's this place called the Armory Center for the Arts, and they enrolled me in an acrylic painting class. And it was the first chance when I got to learn that there is a technique behind art and specifically media, and it's not just kind of get good luck. See if it wasn't just about
doodling
talent. There was some an intellect behind it and learning how colors interacted and how media responded and so I remember that class was probably the first time when I learned the way to use a specific media and I saw the results. I started becoming really proud of my artwork. As I'm telling you this, I'm remembering I painted an elephant that I was pretty damn proud of.
Oh.
So I don't know where that elephant went.
I was going to ask you, it's on your wall, right?
It
mantle?
should be. I should
That
go
would be
digging.
kinda cool.
I should dig through some boxes. I'm sure it's there someplace. But it's funny. I think the pride in my artwork came when the more I learned about how to properly do it. I was really. Again, going back to animation, I was, one of the things I always told you, if you want to be an animator, you should draw from life. And so you'd always see portfolios made up of figure drawings, of quick gesture drawings in particular. And I was touring colleges, went down to where I eventually ended up going to school, Ringling College of Art and Design. And this wall they had all these display of student artwork from a figure drawing class. I was looking, I was like, oh man, I don't think I could ever do it. It's so good. It looks like Disney quality stuff. And my dad was like, you'll get there. Once you start school, you'll get there. And I was like, I don't know if I will.
Oh, and that's good that he encouraged you.
Yeah, he was extremely encouraging. And then like it was probably just a year later. This is gonna sound like I'm bragging. I'm trying not to brag, but
ahead.
you're talking about pride in your artwork.
You're in the right place.
I was I had been there for like a year. I really discovered a love of doing these quick gesture drawings. In fact, my favorites were like 30-second drawings where you just have 30 seconds, the model strikes a pose, and you're just, kind of throwing down some lines really quickly, try to capture that movement. Anyway, a guy from Disney came down to our school to do a little workshop, and he saw my sketchbook, and he goes, "You're a senior?" I was a freshman at the time, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing pretty good." If you thought I had been there for 4 years and I'd only been there for a year,
wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that felt good.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's nice to be acknowledged for the things you're interested in, right?
It's nice to be better than everybody else.
Well, I mean, fake it till you make it, too.
Yeah,
so.
There you go. That's true. Wow, well, you made it. That's pretty doggone amazing. I have to ask you, have you ever animated to your own voice?
I have not. No.
You were supposed to say yes.
Oh, well.
No,
yes. Yes, I have, Jim.
Wait, it's coming back to me.
Yeah, actually,
I just think that would be so damn cool.
I think I'm afraid to. I think I agree with you. It'd be pretty effing amazing. Can I say that on here?
Yeah, effing.
Okay. Censored it. So, okay, good. I wasn't sure where we're playing audience.
Heck. I was coughing. Sorry. Heck.
Yeah, I think that'd be really great. I would be so intimidated because when I went to school, I switched my focus. I didn't go to school for animation. I went to school for illustration because everyone told me you need to learn the basics of illustration to then transition into a traditional animation course. There was a computer animation course at my school, but that was learning all the technical computer stuff. It wasn't what I was into.
Yeah, that's not.
So I just did illustration, and that's where I've maintained my artistic career. I don't remember the last time I animated something, but maybe I should. Maybe I should try doing some Mickey animation.
Yeah,
why not?
Why not? Indeed, and it's
get
not
some more of that Disney money.
There's got to be some.
What Disney money? What?
He doesn't know.
It's like, again, fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Oh God, we could go off on that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
But we won't.
Your first gig was the Hallmark cards? Was that your first gig?
Yeah, my first professional gig was Hallmark cards. Yep, I was there for 5 years in their illustration department, doing illustration and graphic design.
I was there too, but I was doing voiceover.
Really?
Yeah. Over on, were you actually on Ventura Boulevard?
No, I was out in the Kansas City headquarters.
Okay.
Yeah, Kansas City Mo.
Because I used to be the Hallmark Channel guy.
Yeah, I mean now
coming up next on Hallmark Channel.
Of course. How did I not put that together?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. How could you not?
Gold Crown Media. Come on.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I should have put that on my list of things Jim has done that are amazing.
No, well, it was a lot of fun.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
They're a good
Michael
company.
Landon.
Yeah.
Little House on the Prairie.
Did you do any Disney Hallmark cards?
I did. I had a very brief stint in the licensing department. So I did a one or two Mickey cards. I know I proposed a few more designs that probably never made it.
Little foreshadowing of of your life to be.
Yeah, I concepted a lot of keepsake ornaments for Disney.
Oh,
for a while.
Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas ornaments. Yep. So I did a lot of preliminary sketches on that. And then when I got cast in the role of Mickey, I had not quit my job out at Hallmark yet. So I was literally commuting back and forth from Kansas City every couple of weeks, trying to figure out how I moved from Missouri out here. And I held off telling Hallmark, but during that time, I hit my 5th anniversary with them. So they threw me they loved parties, go figure, at Hallmark. Anniversary parties were their thing. So they threw me a 5-year anniversary party, and I walked into the room, and it was decorated with all the Mickey stuff because they knew I was a huge Disney fan.
Wow.
So I had to bite my tongue the whole time thinking I'm about to quit my job to go voice Mickey. Yeah, it was a little ironic, but
what that must have been a fun conversation.
That was one of those conversations where I imagined it playing out a lot more. Or a lot differently.
Okay, Brett, we'll see you on Monday. Hold on.
Yeah.
Maybe not, right?
Actually, I remember I scheduled a meeting with my boss, and I was was like building up. I was like, well, there's this great opportunity and blah, 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 blah. And I was waiting for him to be like, oh no, Bret, please, we can't lose you. Don't go. Are you sure? And he's like, all right, well, that sounds pretty cool. So 2 weeks? It's like, yeah, I guess. Okay.
But don't you miss me more than that?
Yeah. I was like, but aren't you going to try? No, we're not doing that. Okay, cool.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Well,
So
they figured they couldn't fight
couldn't compete with that, I guess.
No.
Little did they know they could have, because I spent the first year living in my aunt and uncle's camping trailer.
Oh, wow.
You know, like checking the email every hour, being like, anything? No one told me how this job worked. That it was like hit or miss, and it ebbed and flowed like no other.
You're either working or you're not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an interesting.
Surely there's some co-branding you could do there where it's Mickey Mouse illustrates Mickey Mouse Hallmark cards now. Like buy Mickey Mouse. Surely there's a marketing there, right?
Hallmark, if you're listening to this, I mean, I have a few friends that are still there, so I should probably tap into those relationships and suggest that. But no, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. They could
Just
even
wait
talk.
5 years till it's public domain, then go for it, baby.
Well, we'll see about
hopefully
that.
they'll watch this podcast.
Yeah,
and your work will be
there. You go.
Clean sweep.
I'm going to be so busy.
I know.
Thanks to you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even so busy thanks to me. So I hope it happens to somebody.
I mean,
who better than you, right?
Exactly. I want to know, do you still put on the Fantasmic shows in your backyard?
No. I mean, well, maybe. Okay, depends on how drunk I am.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say that.
Do you still have that element in you where you just want to get creative and just do something crazy like that, though?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it probably just manifests itself in different ways. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those, when I was a kid and we were putting on Fantasmic shows in my backyard, it was tied to my obsession with production. And oh my gosh, the goof just walked in.
What the?
Well, hiya, pal. What are you doing here?
Well, she told me to show up, and so I did.
Well, there you go.
He can follow directions.
Yeah.
This is the only podcast where Goofy and Mickey can just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you, this is my time.
Yeah. You sound just like him. I will never stop getting a kick out of it.
Oh, I should stop doing it.
No, please don't. No, don't. I don't recommend that at all.
Oh, wow.
I think,
sorry, Brendan, you said production?
Yeah, but you were talking about how you like
Oh,
to put
yeah,
on
I think
productions. Yeah.
I just, I love the behind the scenes. I love figuring out how things are done. I love figuring out how illusions are done, or, so to me, Fantasmic was so theatrical, and that
it really was.
It came out of nowhere. You're at Disneyland walking around all day, and then all of a sudden, boom.
How?
So
I thought it was so damn cool.
It's amazing.
The first time I ever saw it, I've seen it a few times, and the idea that you can have a shower and turn that into a screen, a movie screen, somebody's lawn sprinkler, a really big one.
Yeah,
shooting about an acre of water a minute. It was just, I just was blown away.
Yeah, and that's why I think my brother and my dad had this projector he took on work assignments with him, right? And so we're like setting up and projecting Fantasia, Sorcerer Mickey onto like the biggest tree we had in our backyard, and like trying to figure out like how do they do that, or we tried with the water screens too and couldn't get that to work. But I just I guess it just was really fascinated with just the whole. There was a time when, going back to your question about soundtracks, Fantasmic soundtrack had not been released. And so I actually made my own by taking different like classical pieces and different movie soundtracks. And I remember, going with the double cassette tape thing, right? And I'm like recording back and forth and mix my own soundtrack to play Fantasmic before.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah. I think, and to your question earlier, like, do I still do it? I think that shows up in different ways, like I still love that Disney touch and that Disney way of doing things with soundtracks behind things, right? So when we're up, running our train around, like I've got movie soundtracks playing. I've created little propage things to surround where the train runs and things like that. And so I think that's it's the same vein, right? Of creating and playing in that imaginative space. It just shows it's up in a slightly different way now. But absolutely, yeah.
That's
I
so
love
cool.
I love all that dorky stuff.
Oh God, yeah, me too. Me too. Who'd have thought you'd end up becoming an iconic character as a result of
Yeah, right. Just playing.
Yeah. Well, I used to say I learned more in the halls than I did in the classrooms.
Yeah. No, that's
because
I
I was
agree.
always getting kicked out of class, of course.
How important do you think it is to be a fan of the character that you're voicing? Does it change your approach to voicing the character, do you think?
absolutely.
Because you guys both took over characters that were already well established.
Yeah.
Had you not been a fan of the character, do you think your approach would have differed? Or do you think because you were such a lifelong fan that it just made you think, was there more pressure going into it? Or how did your approach differ?
Yeah, I think there was more pressure going into it. There was already a ton of pressure. Let's be clear. It's Mickey Mouse. It's
Sure.
He's legendary.
Got to do it right.
Got to do it right. Walt Disney, or the originator, and then Wayne Allwine had been doing it for 32 years at that point. Like, there's still people who tell me Wayne was my Mickey, because that's a long time to be doing a voice. So yeah, there was that pressure, but then to your point, there was the added pressure of, I know this character, I love this character, I love this legacy. More importantly, I love what it stands for, and I didn't want to mess that up, and if I could be even the smallest part of helping the longevity of that, then I wanted to be. But yes, I think it's really critical to be a fan of these characters. And for the longest time, I almost felt less than, since I wasn't a voice actor, since I wasn't playing in that sphere out here when I auditioned. I kind of felt like a fraud. It's imposter syndrome, right? Which a lot of people have. So I was kind of walking around being like, oh gosh, I'm not really a voice actor. I just kind of, there's probably somebody, I'm sure a lot of people are out there going, I could do Mickey better.
I'm sure that faded.
Somewhat, but
I would hope
not entirely. But I've always said, I think, it served me better to have not been a voice actor who was just interested in being Mickey because, you're going to be famous for being Mickey, because that, I think, it takes your performance in a different route. Your intentions behind voicing a character like this, I think, are important.
That's a good point.
And especially when it comes to the character of Mickey, he's this little personality assigned to the purpose of laughter, is what Walt Disney said about him one time, right? Like, Mickey is a celebrity, but I don't think Mickey fully acknowledges that. Mickey, that's not why Mickey is who he is. And so if an actor's coming in and like, I'm going to be Mickey because I'm going to be getting into Disneyland for free and I'm going to go do this, that, and the other, it's like, I think that sets you up for a different path.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Don't get me wrong. I love to go to Disneyland. Like, it's nice to go, but
and if they let me in for free, then it's really nice.
It's even better. And this role has given me so many opportunities to either meet cool people or have cool experiences. So all of those things are not lost on me. But yeah, I think being a fan first and foremost has really kind of helped chart the course for how I wanted to interact with this character. Like, I mean, I don't really do a lot of podcasts. I'm not, check my Instagram, I probably haven't posted it in a couple months. Like, I'm really bad at self-promotion, which I know is kind of the name of the game when you're in this industry. But
it doesn't hurt, right?
It doesn't hurt. And when there's moments for that to be authentic, then I'm totally up for engaging in that way. But otherwise, I'm just so happy to get to go into a studio, record the TV show or a toy or whatever, and think about how cool it is, and then go back to my
go home, renovate
distance.
trains.
So yeah, and just be a fan. At the end of the day, just be a fan of it all.
One thing I've learned from doing this show with Jim is that there's a difference between just doing the voice and becoming the character. Jim transforms into the characters. He goes from Winnie the Pooh to Tigger, and it's like looking at two different people. Jim knows what each character would say. And I think there's a big difference there of just doing the voice and actually becoming the character.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and I'm sure you've talked about this before, but when we do conventions, there's no shortage of people coming up and doing their impressions for you, right?
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, which is so fascinating to me.
Here's my Mickey.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Mickey Mouse. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it's great.
That's pretty good.
I mean, what are you supposed to say? Actually, no.
Yeah, that you're hurting my feelings.
One of my favorites is to be between Jim and Bill Farmer over here and like listen to the interactions they get, and then roll the dice on whether or not I'm going to get the same one. But sorry, you were talking about being the character, transforming into it. I was thinking earlier that when I first started, I focused so much on trying to do an impression of Wayne's version of Mickey Mouse. And when I listen back to earlier recordings, I can hear that I'm intentionally trying, like I'm holding my mouth differently to make.
I promise you're the only person who can hear that.
Well,
no, I mean that's the good news.
Okay, well,
that is good news.
It's one of my superpowers to be able to discern. But yeah, I was focused so much on that, and now I don't think about the technique or lack of technique. Probably in my case, in those early days, it was just more so like I was doing an impression, and now I feel a little bit more organic and just knowing who Mickey is and how that sound just kind of comes out now, and I'm focused more on his personality, his tonality, is all that, and I'm not just name dropping because Bill's here, but Bill's one of the people who told me that early on in the beginning. He's like, do you find yourself focusing on making the sound? And this is probably like year one. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I said, some days I'm really scared it's not even going to come out. And he goes, like, give it some time and you won't even think about it. You'll just be Mickey. And I remember thinking like, yeah, right. I'm always going to be scared. And
see, that didn't sound like Mickey.
I'm just kidding. That was scared Bret.
That was Scared
Bret.
That's
my other character, Scared Bret.
Oh, yeah.
Schoolyard Bret.
Ooh, yeah. That sounds like a hit.
Yeah, it's really dorky. Playing trains and
man.
Fantasmic. Anyway,
wow, that's cool.
I've progressed a little bit, I hope.
I would think so. And tell me again, it's been
it's 15 years next month in like 2 weeks, I think.
Wow.
I hit the 15-year mark. Yeah,
that's
crazy.
That's good.
Yeah,
that is good. And I think the first time we met was probably at a was it D23 or might have been a studio. I remember we were doing a panel.
Yeah, we were doing the panel. We had met before that though, so it must have been at the studio. It was a studio.
It had to have been.
It was for Mickey Mouse Clubhouse's fourth season when we came back for that. I think that's when we finally had the chance to meet.
Yeah, we've been doing this for. Yeah. I think there's been a Mickey Mouse something extending back before you were with the company. I mean, I don't because I think it started off Mickey Mouse. What was it, Bill? Funhouse, Clubhouse.
No.
Outhouse was a big one.
Outhouse.
That was a huge hit. House of Mouse.
A huge what?
Yeah.
A huge hit. A huge what?
Hit. A huge hit.
Hit.
Hits. Not okay.
No, there was no S in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was.
Yeah. House of Mouse, right? And all of it. Yeah. There's been Mickey shows forever.
And now it's going to be next one is, hey, how about that mouse, huh? that'll be a big
it's
hit.
Him again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and what's interesting about Mickey is he's always got his profile and his straight face straight on. The shadows are the same.
Oh yeah, his ears always turn in perspective. Yes.
And I always thought when I mean even coming up, I was thinking. So if you're standing on the side of him, what does it appear that his? How does that work?
It's an optical illusion.
Yeah,
you'll never know.
It must be.
But it's one of those things that I think about when I'm drawing him, though. Especially like if you ever put a hat on Mickey, I'm like, well, do his ears come through, or do they just conveniently go behind the hat? I don't know. I've yet to figure that out. But
I'd like to see him in a sailor hat. What are you gonna do with that? That'd be tough.
Yeah, I mean,
circular.
Maybe it just sits right in the middle.
Yeah.
Let
us know, America.
Yeah, what do you think? Put it in the comments below.
Yeah, go ahead and doodle one in there. Oh my gosh.
Well, getting back to, you mentioned earlier, Bret, how one of the first things you were proud of when it came to illustrating was when you learned the process of what goes into animation. Was it similar when you started doing Mickey? Rather than, it's not just doing a voice, there's elements to it. Can you remember when you sort of the understudy process?
Yeah. I auditioned to be Wayne's understudy, and then that just never came to fruition because unfortunately he passed away before that casting decision was made. But I guess I was kind of the understudy for a few years, right? Like it was trial by fire. You talked about learning more in the halls than you did in the classroom, and that's always been my thing. I learn better hands-on than I ever did doing studying in front of a book or in a classroom setting. So I'm grateful in a way, like looking back, hindsight now, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But yeah, I was learning a ton about, I knew nothing about mic technique. I knew nothing about, I knew a little bit about acting, but, I think that just came with the more content I worked on, the different types of product. You learn the difference between something that's going to be at the theme parks versus, a more intimate moment in a TV show scene. So that just all came with experience, I think. I did take some improv classes. I took some voiceover classes for a while. I'm a bad student. So again, those environments just weren't the greatest for me. Full disclosure, I don't think I finished either one of those courses. So I was just like, I think I'm good here.
Yeah.
A lot of people being like, I just really want to get into cartoons. And I'm like, I've got to go record a cartoon right now. So, But yeah, and music too, that's been something that's developed and I've learned a lot about over the years. I had my limited knowledge of high school chorus and band, coming into it. That was my musical theater background. But we've done so many products now and different albums and whatnot. And again, I look back on the early stuff and I go, ooh, but there's been a lot of stuff lately that I'm very proud of. So I think time, time is very helpful. Experience is very helpful.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Who did you seek for advice when you were first doing the voice? Was there anyone in particular that sort of helped you, guide you through it? Because Wayne, unfortunately, was no longer with us.
It wasn't really, I can't say that I targeted anyone specifically, but I always say that thankfully, because you kind of touched on this earlier, but these characters are just so, important to so many people that there's a small little, we're part of a small family in a way with Disney character voices. And so there was the creative directors behind the scenes, the writers, of course, my colleagues, when I became friends with Russi Taylor, Wayne's wife, and Bill and Jim and whatnot. Like I was, whether they knew it or not, picking up on things from them, getting, even something as simple as listening to playback from a session, being like, oh, let me cue up Jim's line for Pete, so you know what he did earlier, and it's like...
I screw people up all the time.
Yeah. I realized early on, don't listen to what Jim did. Just go off the script. He's never going to deliver what's written on the page.
That's really good advice. Don't listen to what Jim did.
But
if I had a nickel...
No, I definitely was... I was being mentored by everyone kind of all at once, whether they knew it or not. And I think in some ways I still am. I'm still picking up on stuff. I discovered that when I watch a movie or a TV show, I'm 50% there for the entertainment, 50% there for micro scrutinizing the craft of it all, right? Whether it's the production design or just the acting or the way someone delivered a line. I've learned a ton from just kind of making that a focus, whereas before I maybe just kind of dismissed it as whatever.
Yeah, wallpaper.
Frivolous fun. Now it's so much more weighted for me. I'm experiencing all those things.
That's great. Well, you got to be a sponge.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I think,
Yeah.
And that is really helpful when it comes to creating new characters, Put the mailman in there with your Uncle Joe or whatever.
The random guy you saw going through TSA.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. God, you too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I've had that dude in 3 or 4 cartoons.
Yeah.
And,
so the thing is, we're a similar kind of age, Bret, where you grew up listening to all these people who are now your co-workers. It must have been so mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah. It still is. Again, imposter syndrome. I've touched on that so many times, but it's like playing in this sandbox of who am I? Why am I here?
Yeah.
I'm it's only a matter of time till they discover I'm a fraud.
But
it's weird. I'm working amongst legends, and working alongside legends. It's a very odd feeling. People are always like, well, the show's called Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, so you're the star of the show. I'm no, I'm not.
Well, I don't know. You're on the money. That's not bad. Ka-ching. That's exactly right.
It's a very surreal place to be. Yeah. Because I grew up watching DuckTales and Darkwing Duck and Goof Troop and Winnie the Pooh and Goofy Movie. And I did not watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I was too old for that. But it's weird.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. Was it Justin? No, was it not Justin Bieber? Britney Spears, and who was it? Justin?
Oh, Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake. They were on the
Mickey
last
Mouse Club.
iteration, right?
Yeah.
I guess you're probably.
I was obsessed with the Mickey Mouse Club. With the live action show. I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told a lie in my neighborhood that I was actually going to move to Orlando. I was going to leave Pasadena, move to Orlando to be on the show. And then the neighborhood kids were like, 2 weeks later, they're like, "So when are you leaving?" I was like, "Oh, it keeps getting delayed. I'm going. And then I eventually had to come clean." The truth
was on
be
last
told,
week's show, didn't you watch?
Yeah, I was on it. The only reason I really wanted to be on the show was because I thought they had the coolest Letterman jackets. I just wanted a Letterman jacket.
Oh, wow.
Then I discovered you could buy them, so I didn't need to lie about going on the show. I could have just saved my money
and then
bought
you really
one.
lie.
Yeah.
See, look what they gave me.
Yeah, see.
That's my name.
My episode just didn't air. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, should we play the voice swap?
Yeah, let's do the voice swap. We like to do a little voice swap where, I'm getting better at explaining this, I think.
Okay.
So
Okay, here we go.
you'll do a line in Mickey Mouse's voice, and then Jim will reiterate that line in one of his character voices, and then we'll swap back and forth. Does that make sense?
So I have to do Jim's voices?
Well, you'll do it as Mickey or as a character.
Oh, and then he's going to do, but I'll do it as...
Yes.
I gotcha. Thank God. I was like, I'm not doing Winnie the Pooh. I can't do that.
All right, well, I'll do Darkwing then.
Yeah.
Do it.
So, take it away. Give me a legendary quote.
Give you a legendary quote.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hi, everybody. It's me, Mickey Mouse. Say, you want to come inside my clubhouse? Well, all right. Let's go.
That's too many words.
Sorry, nobody gave me parameters.
Hi, everybody. It's not me, Mickey Mouse. And anybody want to come inside my clubhouse? And we'll make a big mess and then call the maid. Thank you. Stay dangerous.
See?
I think that was Darkwing.
This is exactly how he reads scripts, too.
Yeah.
The words just go off.
Yeah, I occasionally say what they write.
I mean,
Okay.
it's on them more than it is you, right?
Okay, I'll do Tigger and then throw that to you. Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things.
Do I have to do the spittle, too?
You got to do the spittle.
The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things.
Wow. He does not come with a spit screen, so you're going to have to bring your own.
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, that's good
And then we
stuff.
have to hear one more as Pooh, just two iconic characters.
Oh, there we go.
Would you do me a favor and please pass the honey?
I'd be delighted to do you a favor and pass the honey. I don't know. It's that
Please.
Mickey sounds so lame when he reads these lines.
Do Donald Duck.
No.
I know, maybe silly.
No, I'll do the only duck here.
Yeah. Yep.
Duck and A.
There you go. Duck and
man.
A.
So let's just do one more where you say a Mickey quote, and then Jim, you do that quote as Winnie.
As Winnie the Pooh? All right.
Oh, gosh, Mickey. Okay.
Well, gosh, some imagination, huh?
Well, gosh, it's some imagination, huh? Uh-huh.
That was just sad.
That was great, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we
Don't
go.
try this at home.
good.
Go ahead. Oh, man. Thank
I'm
you
still
so
not sure
much.
anybody knows the parameters of this game, so I think we're free to do whatever we
okay.
want.
That's true.
That's what I'm learning. You guys intimidated me with this.
But we made it through without cussing too much.
We did, and I
or
apologize.
some other shit like that. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
duck it all.
yeah. Did you say duck or? Yeah, never mind.
Yep.
Hey, all right. Well, thanks, pal. I really,
Thank you.
really, really appreciate you coming here
Yeah.
today and doing this together.
This has been fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, producer Chris.
Thank you very much. Once again, this was another episode of Tuned In with Jim Cummings. Thank you so much for joining us today, Brett. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. Once again, this was another episode of Tuned In with Jim Cummings. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Hey, you. That was painless, yeah?
Yeah, that was fun.